Hey guys, this is Steele, and welcome to the second episode of The Training Room. In this episode, we are going to focus on T-side pistol rounds and understanding all the elements that go into having success. This video will be split into two parts, the individual influence and the overall team's influence. With the current meta of CSGO, we can see a variety of different pistol round tactics on a professional level. Some teams opt to go for fast brute force hits with Glocks in close quarter combat situations right off the rip. Other teams like to apply a little bit of misdirection to pull their opponents away for less resistance, and other teams like to split up to try to bait their enemies away from a bomb site for a free bomb plant, while other teams like to poke and prod a bit slowly and decide mid-round what their end goal will be. None of these tactics are better or worse than the other, but they have varying levels of success depending on what their opponent's setup and skill level is, what map they're playing, and what their long-term outlook on the half will be, as well as your own team's ability to coordinate and execute something together. Let's talk about individual influences into the round first. Know thyself. Making yourself a harder target to hit comes from understanding the player models, hitboxes, and angles. Player models hunch forwards, and as a result, it is much more difficult to hit headshots on a player turned away from you. The default CT pistol will kill with one shot in the head, so making it difficult to hit by jumping, turning around and jumping, run boosting, or spinning in circles will make it very difficult for the CT to kill that player. The longer it takes for the CT to kill this hard to hit player will create space for the T's teammate to kill the CT. This effect is amplified the closer you are to your opponent. Know thy weapon. Glocks are the default weapon on T side and are very effective at being close range, as they have a high rate of fire and high damage drop off at long range compared to the CT default pistol. This means that within maps, certain angles and positions will be better than others when taking a bomb site and also holding the bomb site for the retake. If you've bought a P250 and utility for your teammates, you'll play the round out more like you have a USP. Take the long range angle, near cover, take 1 to 2 shots and re-peek 1 to 4 seconds later, or peek again when your teammates take the next contact. The same goes for picking up a USP from a CT's body. Don't sit around close range Glock angles, fall back to a longer range angle, and fight when your teammates are engaging the enemy. Now we must talk about what types of tactics are viable tactics. The first thing to consider is, what is the goal of the pistol round strat? Is it to plant the bomb with the least amount of resistance, where you'll play for the post-plant situation? Or is the goal to do the most amount of entry damage to make the late round situations more manageable? Deciding this will sometimes dictate the pace of the round. Know thy enemy. Knowing who you are up against will dictate in large part how you will run your pistol round. Either you are playing in a certain division or rank and know that your opponents will be more or less skilled at aiming or teamwork. You'll be able to decide what types of strategies you want to run. At a higher level, when teams are more familiar with one another, the teams will familiarize how their opponents play on pistol round. This is why being able to do a variety of different pistol rounds is important, as you don't want your opponent to hard counter you before you even join the game. At lower ranks or divisions, it is very powerful to armor up and Glock overrun areas, because hitting USP headshots on moving targets isn't the easiest thing to do. This is doubly effective if teams don't use teamwork or coordination to position themselves correctly in order to help one another, i.e. teams that play standard setups of 2 at A, 2 at B, and 1 on middle on pistol, as if they have ops or rifles and a full set of utility. Overpowering with numbers in close quarter engagements is a great way to utilize the power of the Glock and armor. Glocks suffer the longer the distance your enemy is, as the accuracy and damage output drops, so keeping the engagements close range and utilizing the high rate of fire and low recoil is a great way to manage the more suited for long range USPs and P2000s of the CTs. At the end of the day, you are most likely facing off against enemies of similar skill level to you. Keeping things simple is the best way to prevent mistakes from happening from doing more complex ideas. The sheer brute force of multiple Glocks popping off shots will be more than enough to break through a CT side defense. Read the situation. If you have taken a bomb site for free, then it is safe to assume that your opponents have taken a gamble and stacked the other bomb site. In these situations, generally at least one, but sometimes 2 CTs will have utility to successfully retake. Disrupting the retake at the correct time by pushing out as your opponents are setting up and just before they're ready to push in will cause their entire game plan to collapse, and then they'll have to go into crisis management mode, where you'll have the upper hand with the Glocks up close and in their faces. If you allow the CTs to execute their retake, then they will methodically clear you out, isolating you from your teammates. In order to disrupt the retake successfully, you need to identify where the CTs with utility are going to be so that you can secure the kit and also fight targets that do not have armor. Once you've identified where the CTs are most likely going to retake from, coordinate with your teammates the next steps. A simple countdown push is a great way to coordinate with your team. Something along the lines of, "Hey, get ready to push spawn with me. I'll count down. 3, 2, 1, go!" This is a perfect example of using your game sense, teamwork, and communication to make a play. Getting the bomb planted is crucial on pistol rounds, as it will set up the team for the following rounds, even if the pistol round is lost. The extra $800 per player for losing the round with the bomb planted, and the $300 for the individual that planted the bomb, will dictate the types of buys the Ts can afford in rounds 2, 3, and 4. Utility is a great way to assist players to get into the round-winning positions. The smoke grenades will provide enough cover to the long-range angles, and the flashbangs will allow for the Glocks to get up close and personal at the very least, and some kills on blind enemies if the enemies overextend. Deciding how many smokes, flashes, HE grenades, or Molotovs you will want will dictate the pace of the round, and how many people can purchase armor will help survivability drastically, as base pistols have low armor penetration. A lot of teams can get by with 1 smoke and 2 flashes, while other teams like to invest in an additional smoke grenade and a Molotov, which will be used to prevent a defuse. Don't be afraid to slow down completely. Part of the current meta is for CT teams to play gamble stacked at bomb sites, and if you don't make a move for a long time, the CTs will feel very uneasy and want to push somewhere for info. Waiting patiently can pay its dividends, as the CTs will fall into your trap and disrupt the CT setup. Create contingency plans and protocols for your tactics as information comes in. The slower you run a tactic, you'll receive more audio cues from CTs playing for info. If the CTs are completely quiet and deny info, you can assume certain setups. Conclusions and examples. Some teams prefer certain styles of pistol rounds and will try to adapt a style of T-pistol across many maps, such as smoking one area and flashing for 4 players to burst out close range. This can be seen in DE Train as a left side bomb train smoke with flashes for everyone to flood out the ladder room, or it can be seen on DE Cache with a smoke grenade to block off the truck and highway sight lines into the bomb site while the rest of the team bursts out the door. The pistol round I saw recently from Team Liquid versus Fnatic was a perfect display of combining all of the elements that make up a good pistol. At the start of the round, we see Team Liquid splitting up and spotting the enemy for pushes around the map. After not seeing any pushes and making up a little bit of noise at the door, Team Liquid groups up and uses 1 piece of utility to clear close middle. Liquid continued their push towards the highway to make Fnatic feel like it was an A hit or split, because Liquid did show a player at the door earlier. This would cause a Fnatic player to unstack out of B and make that bomb site be more vulnerable. Quickly, Liquid regroups at the vents and initiates their B hit. Liquid was a bit sloppy with clearing all the angles, and it led to Elige dying to JW unnecessarily at the back of Checkers. Nitro also got a bit unlucky by getting spammed through a smoke grenade from CT spawn, but the bomb plant was successful, and Liquid needs to just hold a 3 versus 4 post plant with really good positioning. Twists immediately push out towards the flank before regrouping with his teammates towards the bomb site, and he's able to pass the information along to his teammates that the enemies are not on the big flank. So there's one less position that his teammates need to focus on. With some great individual performances from Liquid, they were able to bring the round together, as Fnatic didn't have the necessary utility to re-enter the B bomb site with USPs, as there were too many angles that Fnatic needed to clear, and Liquid was able to win close range duels with Glocks. I hope you guys learned a lot from today's episode of The Training Room, and I hope to see you soon.